Welcome to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Jack Pearson.
And I'm Jonah Krell. GCU softball has had a resurgence over the past 2 seasons, winning 97 games since the start of 2022.
That's right, and the rise in play has coincided with the hiring of Shannon Hayes as head coach. Rishi Oza joins us now from the newsroom with more.
The Lopes are off to a great start to their season as they sit atop the Western Athletic Conference. The team has been on a tear the last 2 seasons and is looking to continue this run this year under Coach Hayes. GCU softball head coach Shannon Hayes has been a collegiate coach for more than 2 decades, but softball was not the sport that he started in. For the first 16 years of his career, Hayes was a basketball coach. Softball came calling in 2005, and he has not looked back since.
Lubbock Christian University, who I was very familiar with and knew the president well, they wanted to start women's college softball, and I thought, well, you know, if I don't like it that much, I'll just get right back into college basketball. And once I got started, I've never wanted to go back.
Hayes spent time as head coach at Texas Tech, where he is the winningest coach in program history, before moving to D2 programs Colorado Christian and Oklahoma Christian. Across 5 seasons at those 2 schools, Hayes accumulated 171 wins before taking the job at GCU.
I was at Oklahoma Christian, loved it, didn't think I would ever leave, coaching at the D2 level. Jamie Boggs, the athletic director here, just kind of targeted me, and she just said, come out, check out Grand Canyon. You got to see what it's all about.
The Lopes made a run to the NCAA tournament last year, and along with Hayes, Kayla Rogers was a big part of it. After transferring from Yavapai College 2 seasons ago, Rogers can attest to the impact that Hayes has had on the team.
I would say the biggest thing Coach Hayes does differently is that he keeps the game lighthearted and fun. He just reminds us it's just softball, go out there, play loose and have fun, and it's something I really appreciate about him.
Hayes' coaching philosophy has not changed at all during his time as a coach. According to Hayes, it starts with having great players, but once they get on the field, he keeps it very simple.
We have 3 rules. The first rule is compete and have fun. Second rule is be kind and be thankful, be a good teammate. Third rule is just a saying, it's just softball. Everybody wants to win, so we just think about the next game and try to go compete and win that next game, and then let that process take care of itself.
Hayes and the Lopes are looking to make it 3 straight WAC titles since Hayes arrived in 2022. Coming off a massive upset in the NCAA regionals last season against UCLA, this team is a force to be reckoned with going forward. Hayes and the players said they don't have any long-term expectations for the season as they try to keep the games ahead of them. But with Hayes at the helm, a deep playoff run could soon be coming to GCU. In the newsroom, Rishi Oza, Cronkite News.
In the Suns' win against the Lakers Sunday night, they got a lot of production from one of their recent pickups, Royce O'Neal.
Yeah, Royce O'Neal, he's made a big impact, acquired from the Nets earlier this month, and he got his first start in Phoenix Sunday night after being with the team for only 6 games. O'Neal got the start for the injured Bradley Beal, and he made the most of it, scoring 20 points with 6 3-pointers. He also grabbed 9 rebounds. Head coach Frank Vogel says O'Neal has been a defensive anchor for the team, but don't be fooled, he's got some offense in his bag as well. O'Neal said he was thrilled to make the starting roster.
Felt great. I mean, first start, they win, but and whatever group is out there, you know, I'm just going to be myself, play my game. I mean, no matter who's out there, play the same way every time.
You know, he's been here before. He's a veteran. He knows how to play the right way, and you know, he's a do whatever it takes guy. So last game was defending at a high level and, you know, hitting big open shots.
And speaking of big pickups, the WNBA season is quickly approaching, and Jack, the Phoenix Mercury, made some off-season buzz with free agent signees Kalia Copper and Natasha Cloud, who were introduced to the media this past week.
That's right, and Cloud is coming from the Washington Mystics, where she played 8 seasons and won a championship with the team in 2019. Cloud also rejoins her Washington teammate Christy Tolliver, who is the associate head coach of the Mercury. Copper is a 3-time All-Star and won a championship with the Chicago Sky in 2021, where she was named the finals MVP. Both players are coming off career highs in points and are joining a Mercury team that has a new head coach and an ownership that is committed to bringing another championship to the Valley.
From top to bottom, Matt, Nick, Nate, the front office, Monica, you could tell how hungry they are to, in a sense, rebuild and really do this thing the right way and invest and be one of those top teams.
Invest in women, and you see the results that come out of it. People want to play there. people want to come and be a part of something special like that. But like I said, it's something I've never experienced. So seeing those plans and seeing what's in the works, I'm excited to be able to be there.
As Sun Devil hockey's time as an independent is coming to a close, a new chapter is awaiting them in the National Collegiate Hockey Conference next season.
And ASU head coach Greg Powers is hoping to keep the best talent in the Valley with hometown kids that are proud to represent the maroon and gold in this new era.
While the traditional powerhouses of college hockey reside on the opposite side of the country, ASU hockey is etched a spot as one of the only West Coast Division I squads. Now that they have a brand new arena and are joining the NCHC, it's a new era for ASU, and they're looking to build the brand of Sun Devil hockey here in the Valley.
You know, initially I thought I wanted to get away from home and kind of did that in the junior path, and then I realized, you know, kind of a mistake and came right back home, talked to Greg, and lucky enough, he wanted me to come here.
Head coach Greg Powers admits that in the past they've let talented local players slip away, but that was when the foundation of Sun Devil hockey wasn't fully established yet. Now things are much different.
Kids are coming to our games that play youth hockey here locally, dreaming of being Sun Devils, and all those kids' defense, they didn't, right? We didn't exist, and so you understand if you lose some battles here and there, but moving forward, we always have, and we'll continue to make an concerted effort to keep the best kids here.
For Heimovich, growing up in Scottsdale meant that he's been an Arizona Coyotes fan since he was little. He rose through the rankings of the Phoenix Junior Coyotes, and now he's able to share the same barn with the NHL team that truly fueled his passion for this sport. Heimovich played his first NCAA career game on this very ice and said that's when it set in that he was making his childhood dreams become a reality.
It was pretty special. Had a lot of family and friends here. A little emotional, but yeah, it meant a lot, and kind of blanked out a bit.
Not only is Heimovich a talented forward on the ice, but Coach Powers emphasized that he is everything a coach could ask for in a hockey player and represents what it means to be a Sun Devil.
Greatest kid, you know, greatest teammate we've had here in a long time, and he comes from an unbelievable family that I know well, and my daughter grew up playing with Jaimo's younger brother, so we know them pretty well, and they're great people. It's certainly not a fluke that he's such a good person with how he was raised.
Heimovich hopes to encourage fellow hometown kids to stay in the Valley and join a program on the rise that is looking to continue to turn heads around the nation. In Tempe, Sammy Miller, Cronkite News.
Heimovich and the Sun Devils have 4 more games remaining in the regular season to try to build up their resume for the NCAA tournament.
That's right, Jonah. The Devils are running out of time, and so are we. That's all the time we have today for the Cronkite Sports Report.
We send it back now to Jacob and Marnie.
Tonight on Cronkite News, a visit from President Biden, how he hopes to court Latino voters in Nevada, Arizona, and Texas.
Plus, Arizona voters are making their own voices heard, heading to the polls for the presidential preference election.
And the Phoenix Rising are defending their USFL title with a new head coach. We'll tell you about the ties this coach has to the Valley. Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Marnie Jordan.
And I'm Ari Wall. Thank you so much for joining us.
A busy day for politics in Arizona. Today is the day of the presidential preference election, and we have reporters covering every angle. We'll have a report from Election Central coming up in just a bit.
Plus, one of the names that is on the ballot is visiting the Valley today.
But first, Cronkite News reporter Sydney Whitty was out at the polls all morning. She joins us now from the newsroom with more on what the voting booths looked like.
Election day was in full swing for the presidential preference election. While I was out there, I saw residents and politicians alike at the polls who were proud to cast their ballots this afternoon. Though there weren't long lines at the polls earlier today, some voters made sure to stop by their voting location to make their choice for president. Among those who voted were politicians who also wanted to make their voices heard.
Presidential preference election, the turnout is not going to be as high as the election in November, and that's just the way it is. But we want people to come out, you know, make your voice heard.
And our vote is sacred. Your vote is sacred. My vote is sacred. And I want everybody's legal vote to count. And we're going to work really hard to make sure that happens.
The presidential preference election lets voters choose what names will be on the ballot come time for the general election. In the newsroom, Sydney Whitty, Cronkite News.
Yeah,
As you can imagine, a lot of work goes into making sure these elections run smoothly.
Cronkite News reporter Adriana Gonzalez-Chavez has more now on how the state does just that.
Today's ballot was a closed primary, meaning that Republican and Democratic registered voters were the only ones who could participate today. This morning, Secretary of State Adrian Fontes said independent voters who did not switch to a party preference were not able to vote. And this includes about 1.4 million Arizonans. The ballot of early in-person and early mail-in voters will be counted today, as well as in-person votes, Fontes says.
This is a county-by-county decision. We will have our office monitoring the results as they come in. We will not be posting results until later on. And as everybody knows, we want to get it done right, and we want to get it done accurately, not necessarily as quickly as the media would like it.
Fontes did mention that the names of some candidates who withdrew from the race were still on the ballot today due to the time that they withdrew. Other states that held an election today include Kansas, Ohio, and Florida. In downtown Phoenix, I'm Adriana Gonzalez-Chavez, Cronkite News.
So when can we expect results to start coming in? Cronkite News reporter Athena Kehoe joins us now from where the votes are actually being tabulated.
Ballots have been arriving all day, and the initial count is expected to come an hour after the polls close. As mentioned, voter turnout is not expected to be heavy, so that means there won't be the usual amount of counting to do down here. Still, security at Election Central is high, with fences and police cars posted around the area to strengthen security and ensure workers and voters feel safe. One Arizona resident says she has seen a lot of change since 2020.
I mean, they're trying to protect the people that are inside because, again, emotions are high. You know, we've seen a lot of stuff since then.
The state has until April 1st to count all of the votes, but it's anticipated that they will wrap up way before that. In Phoenix, Athena Kehoe, Cronkite News.
President Biden is making a planned stop in Phoenix as part of a tour of Sunbelt states to drum support. Arizona is part of a 3-day trip by President Biden, who started in Reno and is making stops in Arizona and Texas. The Arizona stop includes efforts to shore up support from Latinos and a stop at a chip manufacturing plant tomorrow to talk up administration efforts to bolster semiconductor manufacturing in the U.S.
Coming up next, Phoenix is ranked number 8 in the nation for homelessness.
After the break, we'll take a look at what solutions Phoenix has for the homeless population.
Welcome back. I'm Jesse Broaders, here with your news across Arizona. A new poll this morning shows a preview of how the race stands for the U.S. Senate seat. According to a public opinion poll from Noble Predictive Insights, in a hypothetical Senate primary, Democratic Representative Ruben Gallego leads 10 points ahead of Republican Kari Lake. But when current Senator Kyrsten Sinema is added to the poll, Gallegos' lead on Lake drops to only 3 points. The Central Arizona Shelter Services, or CAS, is facing a budget shortfall despite the city of Phoenix approving additional funding. On Wednesday, the city of Phoenix reallocated a little over $1 million of federal funding to help CAS meet its budget shortfall. However, they are still short hundreds of thousands of dollars. CAS uses funding to support shelters across the valley, but may have to cut back on 24-hour services, which could force some people out of shelters. Now to a library without walls. One library system in the valley ranks as one of the biggest in the world, but not in the way you'd think. Cronkite News reporter Leslie Chapman has a look at the modern library landscape.
Libraries have always been there for everyone. We serve the entire community.
And one population is using the library more than we might think.
Here at the Goodyear Library, there's a ton of really amazing study rooms. And so we get high school groups and college groups in all the time who just want to come together and work on a project or study away from the distractions and not need to buy a coffee or anything to feel like they belong there.
According to a study released by the American Library Association, 52% of Gen Z and millennial physical library users borrowed from digital library collections.
We're going to continue seeing younger generations who are used to being on their tablets, who are used to being on their phones. So we are going to continue shifting and making sure that we meet those needs, because that's what libraries do. They listen to their community and what they want.
That's where digital libraries come in.
Utilizing the library does not just mean having to physically come in and crack open a book. In fact, you don't even have to leave the comfort of your own home to use the library.
A digital library is a collection of virtual content, such as ebooks, audiobooks, and movies that can be borrowed from apps like Libby and Hoopla.
In 2023, we hit 6 million digital checkouts in that Greater Phoenix Digital Library, which to me is huge. That ranks us as number 11 in the world, not just the country, of digital checkouts. So we have a ton of super readers here in Maricopa County that are checking out a ton of ebooks and audiobooks.
And so we're really trying to make sure that whether you want to visit us virtually or in person, whether you're young or old, whatever walk of life you come from, that we have a place and a book for you.
In Goodyear, Leslie Chapman, Cronkite News.
In 2023, the Maricopa County Library District circulated more than 7 million physical and digital checkouts. All Maricopa County residents can access digital content for free with a valid library card from any of the 14 public library systems in the county. Taking a look around the nation, President Biden is calling a recent Alabama Supreme Court ruling, quote, outrageous and unacceptable. The ruling says frozen embryos are considered children under law, and 2 of the state's fertility clinics have paused vitro fertilization. Yesterday, the University of Alabama at Birmingham Health System became the first in the state to put a halt on IVF treatments out of legal concerns. Today, Alabama's fertility clinic in Birmingham followed suit. This leaves patients who are currently undergoing treatment at the clinics worried about their own future.
This has been about 2 years in the making of us trying, and we got in with this clinic about 3 months ago. So it was 3 months of preparation physically and mentally to go through this, and it just feels ripped away.
The White House is considering taking executive action at the U.S.-Mexico border, a maneuver that could limit migrants' ability to cross illegally. House Republicans blocked a bipartisan border bill earlier this month, and the Biden administration reportedly has been exploring options that could be used without congressional approval. The administration is weighing using parts of federal immigration law that were repeatedly used by former President Donald Trump to crack down on the southern border. As of now, a decision has not been made. That's it for your news headlines. For Cronkite News, I'm Jesse Broaders. Now back to you.
Thanks, Jesse. Coming up next, the lottery meets football.
One Baltimore Ravens fan is now really looking forward to football season. Why this football season is going to be extra special for a longtime sports fan in Maryland.